Have you ever noticed how heavy the past can be? It does not have a physical weight. You cannot place it on a scale. You cannot measure it in ounces or grams or stones. Yet, it presses down on your chest. It tightens your throat. It makes your breathing shallow, your nights long, and your quiet moments unbearable. It is a phantom weight, but the pain is entirely real. We are talking about resentment, the quiet, simmering anger that lives in the basement of our minds. The memory of the wrong that was done to us. The betrayal, the insult, the cruelty, the abandonment. We hold on to these memories like precious artifacts. We polish them every day with our attention. We replay the scenes in our heads, changing the dialogue, winning the arguments, wishing for a different ending. But the ending never changes. The past is a door that has been firmly, permanently locked. And yet, we stand in front of it, rattling the handle, demanding that it open. This is the human condition. We are deeply wired for justice. When we are harmed, our ego sounds an alarm. It builds a fortress around our heart. It says, "I will never let this happen again." And so, we use anger as a shield. We believe that if we stay angry, we stay safe. We believe that if we hold on to the grudge, we are somehow holding the other person accountable. We build a courtroom in our minds. We are the judge. We are the jury. We are the relentless prosecutor. And we put the person who hurt us on the stand, day after day, year after year. We sentence them to our hatred. We sentence them to our disdain. But look closely at this courtroom. Look at the walls. Look at the bars on the windows. Who is really trapped inside? There is a famous saying, resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It is a profound paradox. We swallow the venom of bitterness. We let it course through our veins. We let it sour our joy, steal our peace, and exhaust our spirit, all while hoping that the person who hurt us will somehow feel the effects. But they do not. They are often entirely unaware of our suffering. They are going about their lives, sleeping peacefully, eating well, laughing with friends, while we sit in the dark, clutching the poison bottle. Consider the story of the master architect. Many centuries ago, there was a brilliant builder who was betrayed by his closest confidant. The betrayal was so deep, so financially and emotionally devastating, that the architect was consumed by a burning desire for revenge. He decided to build a prison for his former friend, a prison so perfectly designed, so inescapable, that the man would suffer for eternity. The architect poured all his time into this project. He stopped building beautiful palaces. He stopped building bridges. He ignored his family. He abandoned his art. Every waking moment was spent designing thicker walls, heavier iron doors, deeper dungeons, and more complex locks. Years passed. The architect grew old, gray, and tired. Finally, the ultimate prison was complete. He stepped inside to inspect his masterpiece. He walked down the cold, damp corridors. He checked the heavy iron bars. He stood in the deepest, darkest cell. And as he stood there, a profound and terrifying realization washed over him. He looked at his hands, calloused and scarred from the work. He looked at his reflection in a puddle of muddy water. He realized he had spent the best years of his life in the dark. His enemy had long since moved away, living a full and rich life in another country. His enemy was free. It was the architect who had spent his life in a prison. He had built a cage for his enemy, but he was the only one who had ever lived inside it. This is what resentment does to us. It tricks us into becoming the architect of our own suffering. It tricks us into becoming the warden of our own misery. We think we are punishing them, but we are only punishing ourselves. So, how do we stop? How do we step out of the cage? The answer lies in the most misunderstood concept in the human language: forgiveness. When we hear the word forgiveness, we often feel a surge of resistance. Our ego screams out in protest. Why should I forgive them? They don't deserve it. They haven't even apologized. Forgiving them means what they did was okay. Let us dismantle these illusions right now. Listen to this carefully. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It has absolutely nothing to do with them. Forgiveness is not saying that what they did was right. Forgiveness is not condoning their behavior. Forgiveness is not forgetting what happened. And forgiveness certainly does not mean you have to invite them back into your life. You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. You can forgive someone and maintain strict, impenetrable boundaries to protect yourself. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the person who broke you. It is a profound act of self-liberation. It is the moment you decide to stop drinking the poison. It is the moment you drop the heavy stone you have been carrying. To understand this deeply, we must turn to an ancient Zen parable, the story of the two monks and the river. An older monk and a younger monk were traveling together. They had taken a sacred vow of celibacy, a vow that strictly forbade them from touching a woman. Their journey led them to the banks of a turbulent, muddy river. There, standing in the cold mud, was a beautiful young woman in a fine silk dress. She was desperate to cross, but the waters were too deep and the current too fast. She was distressed, afraid her delicate clothes would be ruined, or worse, that she would be swept away. The younger monk immediately turned his back, remembering his vows. He stood rigid, righteous, and silent. But the older monk did not hesitate. He walked over to the woman, gently picked her up, and waded into the freezing river. He carried her securely across the rushing water. He set her down gently on the dry bank on the other side. The woman bowed deeply in gratitude. The older monk bowed in return, and the two monks continued on their journey. For hours, they walked in complete silence. The younger monk was seething. His mind was a storm of judgment and anger. How could the older monk do such a thing? How could he break the sacred rules? How could he touch a woman? The resentment boiled inside the young monk. He rehearsed his confrontation. He built a case against his elder. The beautiful landscape they walked through was completely lost on him. He did not see the ancient trees. He did not hear the singing birds. He only felt his own burning indignation. Finally, as the sun began to set, he could hold it in no longer. He turned to the older monk, his voice trembling with anger. "We are monks!" he shouted. "We are not permitted to touch women. How could you pick that woman up and carry her across the river?" The older monk stopped. He looked at his young companion with deep, compassionate eyes. He smiled softly. "Brother," the older monk said, "I set her down on the other side of the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Let those words sink in. Why are you still carrying her? Why are you still carrying him? Why are you still carrying the memory of the betrayal? The event happened weeks, months, perhaps years or decades ago. The river has long been crossed. The people who hurt you have walked away, but you are still carrying the weight. You are carrying it into your new relationships. You are carrying it into your work. You are carrying it into your sleep. You are dragging the ghost of your past into the sanctuary of your present. The Buddha taught a concept known as The second arrow. He said that in life, pain is inevitable. We will all be struck by the first arrow. The first arrow is the betrayal, the loss, the insult, the cruelty of others. We cannot control the first arrow. It is fired by the unpredictable chaos of the world. It hits us, and it hurts. It bleeds. But then the Buddha asked his disciples, "If a man is struck by an arrow, is it painful?" They answered, "Yes, it is painful." He then asked, "If he is struck by a second arrow, is it even more painful?" They answered, "Yes, much more painful." The Buddha then explained the profound truth. He said, "In life, we cannot always control the first arrow. However, the second arrow is our reaction to the first. The second arrow is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. The second arrow is the anger, the rumination, the victimhood, the resentment. The first arrow is fired by the world, but the second arrow we fire at ourselves. Forgiveness is not pulling out the first arrow. The first arrow has already caused its damage. The scar will remain. Forgiveness is the conscious decision to stop shooting yourself with the second arrow. It is the choice to stop inflicting suffering upon yourself on behalf of the person who hurt you. Modern psychology beautifully echoes this ancient wisdom. Psychologists tell us that holding a grudge keeps our nervous system in a state of chronic stress. Our body does not know the difference between a physical threat right now and the memory of an emotional threat from 5 years ago. When you ruminate on your anger, your brain floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate elevates. Your immune system suppresses. You are physically tearing your own body down to keep a memory alive. So, if holding on is so toxic, why is letting go so terrifying? Because we confuse letting go with giving up. We feel that if we forgive, the other person gets away with it. But the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us of the dichotomy of control. There are things up to us and things not up to us. The actions of others, their morality, their karma, their apologies, these are entirely outside of our control. We cannot force someone to feel remorse. We cannot force someone to see our pain. If we wait for an apology to begin our healing, we hand the keys to our peace over to the very person who broke it. We make our emotional well-being dependent on the maturity of someone who has already proven they lack it. That is a terrible bargain. Forgiveness is reclaiming your power. It is taking the keys back. It is saying, "You hurt me, but I will not allow you to define me. You broke my trust, but I will not let you break my spirit. You took a moment from my past, but I will not let you take my future." But how do we actually do it? How do we move from understanding this intellectually to feeling it in our bones? It requires a shift in perspective. It requires us to see forgiveness not as an action, but as a grieving process. Yes, grief. To forgive, you must first grieve. You must grieve the fact that the past cannot be changed. You must grieve the apology you will never receive. You must grieve the illusion that things should have been different. We suffer because we argue with reality. We say, "They shouldn't have done that, but they did." We say, "It isn't fair," and it wasn't. But continuing to argue with what has already happened is like screaming at the rain for making you wet. The rain does not care. The rain simply falls. Radical acceptance is the gateway to forgiveness. It is the quiet, exhausted surrender of the ego. It is looking at the terrible thing that happened and saying, "This happened. It is a part of my history, but it is not my entire story." Let us look at a real-life example of this immense power. Think of the late Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned for 27 years. 27 years of his youth, his freedom, his family life stolen. Stolen by a brutal, unjust regime. He was forced to break rocks in a blinding limestone quarry. He was subjected to humiliation, isolation, and abuse. If anyone had the right to carry resentment, it was him. If anyone had the right to seek brutal revenge upon his release, it was him. Yet, when he walked out of the gates of Victor Verster prison, he did not call for vengeance. He called for reconciliation. He famously said, "As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." He understood that true freedom is an internal state. You can be completely free in a tiny jail cell, and you can be entirely imprisoned while walking around the world if your mind is chained to a grudge. Mandela chose to drop the heavy stone, not because the people who imprisoned him were flawless, but because his vision for his future was larger than his anger over his past. He chose to be the author of his destiny, rather than the victim of his history. You have the same choice right now. The cage you are sitting in is locked from the inside. You forged the key out of anger, but you can melt it down with compassion. Not necessarily compassion for them, but compassion for yourself. Look at yourself. Look at how tired you are. Look at how much energy it takes to keep the fire of hatred burning. You have suffered enough. You have paid the price for their mistake long enough. It is time to let yourself off the hook. Imagine what your life would look like if you didn't have to carry this story anymore. Imagine waking up in the morning, and the first thought in your mind is not the wrong that was done to you. Imagine your mind as a clear, still lake, undisturbed by the throwing of stones from your past. The Japanese have a beautiful art form called kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, they do not throw it away. They do not try to hide the cracks. Instead, they repair the broken pieces using lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The philosophy behind it is breathtaking. They treat breakage and repair as part of the history of an object, rather than something to disguise. The bowl becomes more beautiful, more valuable, precisely because it has been broken. The gold lines tell a story of resilience. They tell a story of survival. Your emotional scars are your kintsugi. You have been broken by the world, by the betrayal of others. But you do not need to hide the cracks, and you do not need to shatter the person who broke you to make yourself whole. Forgiveness is the gold that you pour into your own cracks. It is the ultimate healing agent. It seals the wound. It binds the pieces back together, stronger than before. When you forgive, you do not erase the past. You transform it. You transform the trauma into wisdom. You transform the betrayal into a deep understanding of human frailty. You realize that hurting people hurt people. The person who wronged you was acting out of their own blindness, their own pain, their own ignorance. Their actions were a reflection of their internal state, not a reflection of your worth. You were simply collateral damage in their war with themselves. Seeing this does not excuse them, but it releases you. It takes the situation out of the realm of the personal. It allows you to look at them not as a monster who destroyed you, but as a flawed human being who stumbled in the dark. And in seeing their flaws, we must also dare to look at our own. Have we not also hurt others? Have we not also spoken in anger? Have we not also broken promises, let people down, and acted out of our own selfishness? We are all stumbling in the dark. We are all desperately in need of grace. When we withhold forgiveness from others, we harden our own hearts. We build walls that keep pain out, but they also keep love out. They keep joy out. They keep life out. To be alive is to be vulnerable. To love is to risk betrayal. To trust is to risk disappointment. You cannot protect yourself from pain without also protecting yourself from happiness. So, take a deep breath. Right now, feel the air fill your lungs. Feel the subtle rise of your chest. Feel the present moment. In this exact moment, you are safe. The past is a ghost. The future is a dream. Only this breath is real. Close your eyes and visualize the person who hurt you. See them standing far away. Do not try to feel affection for them. Just see them as a human being. And silently, in the sanctuary of your own mind, say the words, "You hurt me. The pain was real, but I no longer wish to carry you. I release you. I release the need for an apology. I release the need for revenge. I release you to your own path and your own karma. And I reclaim my energy. I reclaim my peace. I am free." Notice how the body responds to those words. Notice the subtle relaxation in your shoulders, the softening of your jaw, the quietness in your chest. This is the feeling of opening the cage. You are stepping out of the dark courtroom. You are walking into the sunlight. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It is a practice. It is a daily commitment to your own peace. Some days, the anger will return. The ghost will knock on the door. The phantom weight will press on your chest. When it does, do not judge yourself. Do not panic. Simply observe it. Acknowledge it. And gently, firmly, put the stone down again. Remind yourself that you have already crossed the river. You do not need to pick the burden back up. Let them go. Let it all go. Not because they deserve your forgiveness, but because you, profoundly and entirely, deserve your peace. Your life is too precious to be spent as a monument to someone else's mistake. Your heart is too beautiful to be a graveyard for old grudges. Sweep out the ashes. Open the windows. Let the fresh air in. The cage is open. The sky is vast, and the rest of your life is waiting for you.